Hello everyone. Let us learn about the invasive mole. It is also known as chorioadenoma destruens. It is a post-molar gestational trophoblastic neoplasia. There is malignant transformation of the trophoblast in the vesicular molar tissue, and it is a locally malignant tumor. After molar pregnancy, in 15% of cases, there is a risk of invasive mole, and in 4% of cases, there is a risk of choriocarcinoma. However, after non-molar pregnancy, like after abortion or term delivery, the risk of choriocarcinoma is hardly 4%. It can also originate from the tube or ovary. Along with the teratoma and dysgerminoma of the ovary, it may be seen. There are certain other malignant conditions in non-molar pregnancy like placental site trophoblastic tumor, epithelioid trophoblastic tumors. How do you diagnose the invasive mole clinically? Usually these cases they are diagnosed and suspected in post-evacuation follow-up of vesicular mole. As there is 15% risk of invasive mole in these cases, to prevent it, prophylactic adjuvant methotrexate therapy is given along with the evacuation or along with the hysterectomy if she is a high-risk patient. Thus, vesicular mole can progress to persistent trophoblastic neoplasia where the disease is persistent and it manifests in the form of intermittent bleeding PV and abnormal HCG titer. It may turn into invasive mole in 15% of cases where there is a locally malignant tumor growing inside the uterine cavity. There is a chance of perforation of uterus in these cases. The vesicular mole can also turn into a choriocarcinoma in 4% of cases. It is a highly malignant tumor and is a differential diagnosis for invasive mole. Whenever there is invasive mole observed in follow-up of vesicular mole, it is seen in 60% of the cases. After abortion and term delivery, it is seen only in 30% of cases. However, choriocarcinoma is seen when it is seen in cases of non-molar pregnancy, then the risk is 45%, means after abortion and after full-term delivery. And after vesicular mole, there is only 50% risk. Of course, these two conditions are seen in after ectopic pregnancy also. How do you diagnose the invasive mole on follow-up? Patient will give history of amenorrhea after evacuation, or she can have irregular bleeding PV. On clinical examination, uterus will be subinvoluted with persistent thecal luteal cyst. On laparotomy or hysterectomy, when the patient is treated by hysterectomy, that time on examination of the uterus is uniformly enlarged or maybe irregularly enlarged. On cut section, there are purple fungating growth like lesions in the nodular form which are invading the myometrium wall. They are seen. The cavity is also distorted, and these nodules they bleed intermittently. That's why the patient reports with vaginal bleeding. Sometimes it invades the myometrium up to the serosa, and the patient can report with the intraperitoneal bleeding. Vaginal metastasis is seen in 30% of the cases of this invasive mole. There, the metastatic nodules are in the suburethral region. Here, suppose this is the urethra, this is the vagina, this side, anterior vaginal wall, lower part near the introitus, these nodules are seen. And they are with a pouting bleeding surface, and they are highly vascular. Patient may report with serious bleeding from this site, and she needs surgery, either surgery or radiotherapy for the treatment of these nodules. Vascular embolization is also one of the choice to control the bleeding from these metastatic lesions in cases of invasive mole. They are typical manifestation of the secondaries in the vagina. It is a locally malignant tumor. It spreads nearby tissues. This locally malignant is through the venous plexuses. On the ultrasonography, the height of uterus will be more, subinvoluted uterus is seen, the ovaries are still enlarged, not regressed in 15% of cases. The typical appearance may be soap bubble appearance or spoke wheel appearance, either of them. When Doppler is conducted, there is increased vascularity near the tumor mass and around the uterus, hypoechoic myometrium because of invasion of the myometrium, and neovascularization near the nodules and around the uterus is seen. CT scan should also be supplemented in certain cases, when there is doubt of occult metastasis or choriocarcinoma is suspected. In these cases, CT scan of lungs, brain, liver is conducted. Histological features can confirm the diagnosis. Histology of what? The specimen removed by curettage. When the patient reports with irregular bleeding preview on follow-up and residual tumor mass is seen or sampling is done that time, the tissue sample is examined microscopically. In these cases, there are sheets of malignant change in the villus structure. The cells, they are hyperchromatic with scanty cytoplasm. However, villus structure is identified nicely. But these villi, they are invading the myometrium. But it is not associated with the necrosis like choriocarcinoma. In choriocarcinoma, villus structure is not identified at all. There are highly anaplastic sheets of malignant cells. And vascularity is more. It is associated with necrosis. Villus structure is not identified in choriocarcinoma. That is the differentiating features between the invasive mole and choriocarcinoma on histology. What is the differential diagnosis of invasive mole clinically? Before doing the laparotomy or before going ahead with the hysterectomy? Rule out choriocarcinoma by histology or by HCG titer. Red degeneration of the fibroid is a condition with the pregnancy where it is acute abdomen and conservative treatment is given. There is no role of laparotomy in these cases. It is a fibroid with pregnancy. Malignant ovarian tumor may be there and should be kept in the mind for differential diagnosis. Uterine sarcoma is a rare entity seen in the elderly woman, but all these conditions, the HCG titer is less. Dysgerminoma of ovary may be coexistent, but should be kept in mind as a differential diagnosis. How do you diagnose invasive mole? By HCG titer on follow-up of vesicular mole. Abnormal HCG value on admission itself, like first visit, beta HCG titer more than 1 lakh milli international unit per ml, is diagnostic feature in 50% of the cases for invasive mole or even choriocarcinoma. This is how the value may be more than 1 lakh. PIGO diagnostic criteria for GTN are given. In these cases, there are 3 points. One is, over at least 2 weeks time, there is HCG rise by 10% 4 readings, or over at least 3 weeks time, there is 10% rise or plateau for 4 reading. You remember it as a plateau. For 2 weeks time, there is a rise of HCG titer by 10%, 4 readings. Over 3 weeks time, this is 2 weeks time, this is 3 weeks time. This is second point. First point was HCG titer more than 1 lakh. Second point, over at least 2 weeks time, HCG rise is by 10%, 4 readings. Third point is over at least 3 weeks time, there is plateau for 4 readings. And last point is HCG still positive 6 months after suction evacuation. So it takes so long to disappear, or it has not disappeared at all. In this case, this graph shows over at least 2 weeks time, there is 10% rise. This is first week, this is second week. So in these 2 weeks time, there is a rise by 10%. There are 4 readings. 1, 2, 3, 4 readings like this. So the value has increased up to 1,20,000 and so. Over at least 3 weeks time, there is plateau. 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. So first, second and third week. So over 3 weeks time, there is a plateau. So there are 4 readings. This week, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 readings within 3 weeks time of plateau. What is the treatment of invasive mole? The treatment is hysterectomy with single agent adjuvant chemotherapy, and follow-up is must in all for the prognosis. How do you prevent the invasive mole in cases of vesicular mole? Adjuvant chemotherapy single drug regime is given 2 days prior to the evacuation and during evacuation also in high risk vesicular mole. That is one way. And follow-up is done in all cases of vesicular mole by HCG titer till it is negative, and subsequently it should be done at least 2 years, because within 2 years time there is a risk of developing invasive mole in these cases. So the critical screening of these patients, especially high risk cases, and treatment of all high risk cases with prophylactic chemotherapy plus hysterectomy is done. Prophylactic chemotherapy, the advantages are it prevents the trophoblastic embolization post evacuation. That is one advantage. The second advantage is it reduces the risk of post molar GTN, invasive mole or choriocarcinoma, from 50% to the 15%. But there are some problems of this chemotherapy, like there is a risk of drug resistance and toxicity. Oral methotrexate has got more GI tract toxicity in the form of stomatitis, pharyngitis. Hence, injectable methotrexate is preferred. Hysterectomy is the treatment of choice in all high risk cases above 40 years. The advantage of hysterectomy in these cases is there is reduction of GTN 4 times, and it reduces the dose also of chemotherapy in the post-operative cases after hysterectomy in high-risk cases of vesicular mole. So this is a prophylactic hysterectomy done for high-risk cases, and the treatment for invasive mole is also hysterectomy. So what we do is we give adjuvant chemotherapy along with the hysterectomy, so that the risk of GTN reduces, the risk of micrometastasis and occult metastasis also reduced. But follow-up is required in all. Indications for other indications of hysterectomy in GTD. We have discussed high risk vesicular mole or vesicular mole with sepsis, hemorrhage which cannot be controlled, and perforation of the uterus, accidental perforation of the uterus, or on follow up when the disease is persistent and chemo resistant also. When there is invasive mole or chorioadenoma dehiscence diagnosed by histopathology of keratins. Few more conditions are non-molar conditions like placental site trophoblastic tumor and epithelioid trophoblastic tumors. These are the indications for hysterectomy in gestational trophoblastic disease. About the choriocarcinoma, we'll discuss the next slide.